אוקיי, נראה לי שאפשר להתחיל. אז שלום לכולם, ברוכים הבאים לוובינר של GoGIS. בואו נציג לכם את ה-API'ים השונים שיש לחברת Here Technologies להציע. GoGIS היא נציגת Here Technologies בין היתר בישראל, ולכן יזמנו את הוובינר הזה כדי לספר לכם קצת יותר על מה שיש להיר להציע בתחום. אוקיי, אז נתחיל עם האג'נדה של מה אנחנו הולכים לדבר עליו. נתחיל בכמה טיפים קטנים, פרטים טכניים על הוובינר עצמו, לאחר מכן הקדמה שכבר התחלתי בה, אבל הוובינר עצמו מתחלק לשני חלקים עיקריים. החלק הראשון יציגו בפנינו מומחים מחברת Here את ה-API'ים בתחום ה-Fleet Management, שזה ניהול ציי רכב, משאיות וכדומה, ומה שיש להם להציע בתחום הזה. והחלק השני, אנחנו, החבר'ה מ-GoGIS, נציג בפניכם את הסקירה כללית של ה-API'ים השונים. יש מעל ל-30 API'ים, כמובן שלא נוכל לעבור על כולם, אבל ניתן דגשים על API'ים שנראים לנו מעניינים וחזקים שיש להיר להציע, ונסיים ככל שיותר לנו הזמן לענות על שאלות. אז מי הדוברים שלנו? קודם כל, מחברת Here Technologies נמצאים איתנו שני מנהלי מוצר בכירים, דיטר ויוסי. Hi, Dieter and Yussi. Thanks for being with us.
Happy to be there. Good morning.
ומחברת GoGIS, אז יהודית, מנהלת המחירות שלנו. היי, יהודית. יגאל, מנהל הפיתוח שנמצא פה איתי. ואני אבי רביבו, ה-CTO של חברת GoGIS. אז נתחיל בכמה פרטים טכניים. כמו שאמרנו, אתם מוזמנים לפתוח את ה-Q&A. זה חלון שאפשר לפתוח מהסרגל למטה או למעלה, תלוי מה מוגדר אצלכם בזום. חלון של Q&A, ובו תוכלו... כן, כאן. לשלוח לנו שאלות ונשמח לענות עליהם בחלק האחרון של הוובינר. גם מה שלא נספיק לענות פה, אז אנחנו נשמח לחזור אליכם במייל לאחר מכן ולענות על השאלות. חוץ מזה, אנחנו כמובן מקליטים את הוובינר היום, ונשמח לפרסם אותו אצלנו באתר לטובת כולם. אוקיי, אז GoGIS, מי אנחנו? אז אנחנו חברה קטנה שקמה לפני כ10 שנים. אנחנו מתמחים בתחום ה-GIS, הטמעה ופיתוח פתרונות. אנחנו נציגים של לא מעט מהם בארץ. היום התכנסנו לדבר על Here Technologies, אבל אנחנו מייצגים במקביל גם את גוגל, מפבוקס, קארטו ועוד, כך שאנחנו יכולים להמליץ ללקוחות לפי הצרכים שלהם מה הפתרון הכי אופטימלי בשבילהם. זהו, אנחנו מאוד מאמינים, לא כסיסמה, בטובת הלקוח, כי פשוט מניסיוננו זה משתלם. אנחנו עוזרים למשל מאוד באופטימיזציה, כי כמובן כל הטכנולוגיות האלה מבוססות צריכה, ואנחנו מאמינים שאם נחסוך ללקוח היום, זה ישתלם לנו מחר. יש לנו המון ניסיון בפרויקטים קטנים וגדולים, מכל התחומים, הן מהתחום העסקי, מהתחום הממשלתי, הביטחוני, ובמסגרת הזאת הוובינר היום. בואו נציג לכם את פתרונות here. אוקיי, אז עכשיו אני אעביר את רשות הדיבור לדיטר ויוסי, שיתחילו במצגת שלהם. So, Dieter and Yussi, please start.
Yes, hello everyone. This is Dieter from ETA Technologies. I'm happy to give you a presentation of our technology for fleet management. Just would like to quickly start with introducing our company. So who are we? So the roots of ETA Technologies go back to the year of 1985. A company named Navtec, which was founded in those days by Philips, to create a worldwide map for automotive navigation. And this company, Navtec, was acquired in 2006 by Nokia. And with other acquisitions and other further developments, we were renamed in those days from Navtec to HERE. And this new name should stand for a broader vision of location-based services and not only being a map deliverer, map source for the automotive navigation systems, which is still a very important part of our business. And then in 2015, HERE was sold to a consortium of 3 German automotive manufacturers, Audi, BMW, and Mercedes. All of them are large customers before and are still large customers after the acquisition. And but the goal from the early beginning was to have more stakeholders in the company, so a broader consortium. In 2017, Intel joined us. HERE itself acquired Advanced Telematics Systems, who are specialists for over-the-air, secure over-the-air software updates in the automotive industry. And nowadays, by 2019 or now 2020, recently announced, we have in total 9 direct and indirect shareholders. As you see, it's a broader range, not only from automotive, also with partners from the telecommunication area and from transportation and logistics. So that's what we are as a company. And now let's talk about what we can do for you, especially when we are talking about developing innovative fleet management solutions with our services. When we talk to logistic companies, the first thing or the most important thing where they need help is to calculate better estimated time of arrivals, because this is the most critical part in transportation and delivery planning. You have to meet your delivery time windows, you want to avoid penalties and missed deliveries, and you want to meet the hours of service requirements. So ETA is really the key for everything. That's what we always see. As part of that, you want to also increase your asset utilization, so optimize the routes and the route sequences with multiple waypoints, taking into account time windows and other things that make road planning complicated. Then it's all about lowering operational costs. So you want to have the optimal routes, you want to avoid empty transportations, things like that. You want also to have an enhanced driver experience, really to keep your drivers, to give them the optimal tools, that they find their destinations, that they are guided as they should be, that they don't run into any trouble on the road. And last on the list is also you want to improve the safety by understanding where are risks on the road, is the driver behavior okay? So also any kind of analytics that help you. And for all of these things, I think we have a solution with our location services where we can help. How do we do that? So when we talk about here location services, everything is built on what we call the real world index. So the real world index is our map content, which not only includes road networks, it includes everything, addresses, building footprints, land use. So everything what you need to have and to build a digital map view. And on this real world index, we are building our location services, be it the routing service, geocoding, maps, and all the others. I will talk about them into details later. To use our services, we have on one hand our web APIs for machine-to-machine communications, the RESTful web services, and for user interaction running in browser, the JavaScript API that enables you to easily integrate our services with your applications. And then on the other hand, we have our native APIs, or what we also call our Mobile SDK for Android and iOS. So with that, you have an offer which works across screens and devices. When we talk about the logistic and where we can help, we identified 3 key phases in logistics. You first of all have to plan what you're doing. Then when the vehicles are on the road, you want to monitor and support them. And then, as I already mentioned in the introduction, you do a post-trip analysis, which then goes again into an optimized planning. And I'll go through these phases. Let's start with plan in advance, showing you the location services that we have to help in these phases, and then highlighting in a bit more details those are relevant for route planning and calculation of estimated time of arrival. So first of all, you need to know where to go. So you have we have a service called custom locations, where you can pinpoint your own addresses, your customers, your loading hubs, any kind of your own addresses into the map and use them for pre-trip planning. Then we have a geocoding services. You enter an address and the geocoding service shows you the coordinates, and you can also put them on the map. Then when we talk about routing for commercial vehicles, truck routing is the most important factor, which takes into account all the restrictions that are applicable on trucks. For ETA calculation, it's very important to have both real-time and historical traffic information. I talked about this a little bit more in details later. Then we have a toll calculation system, a service. Toll might not be too much of an issue in Israel, but if you plan routes through Central Europe with different toll systems, you will see that this is a real challenge and an important cost factor. And then we have 2 more APIs for optimization. Waypoint sequencing is for optimization and tour for a single vehicle. And tour planning also we'll talk about, my colleague Jussi will talk about this in a minute, when we have optimization for multiple vehicles. So starting with truck routing. For this, we collected all the signs that you'll find on the road which are relevant for trucks, the physical restrictions, be it size or maximum weight of a vehicle, and as well as all the legal restrictions, and especially those restrictions for hazardous goods. So if you give these parameters to our routing API, you will find a route that this truck is really allowed and physically able to go along. As well as we then apply, based on the vehicle weight, different speed profiles, which also go then into the driving time calculation. You can imagine a 7.5 tons truck is faster than a 38 tons truck, and that's also what we apply. Just to mention that in Israel, we have 100% coverage on all the function, what we call function class 1 to 4, which are the non-urban roads in a country with those truck attributes. The second important one, so trucks helps you to get the legal and optimal route for your truck, and then traffic helps you to have a most reliable driving time, taking into account, first of all, historical traffic data, which is data that we create out of the real-time traffic data, also always for the last 1 or 2 years in the past, which gives a different driving time on any road segment at a certain time of the day. And this can be combined with traffic-enabled routing based on real-time traffic data, which can be used from now 60 minutes ahead, and then historical traffic data is used in the route calculation. Yeah, then I already mentioned it, toll calculation. As I said, it might not be that much of a problem in Israel, but in Central Europe, more or less every country has its own different toll system. They're extremely complicated sometimes. It could be depending on the vehicle weight, on the vehicle size, on the CO2 emission, and a lot of other parameters. And when you really want to plan a trip across Europe, you sometimes go to 3, 4, 5 different toll systems. And with our toll cost calculation, you have a one-stop shop to calculate this in one request and get all the applicable toll costs to your route calculation. And then I talked about optimization. Then we have, first of all, the waypoint sequencing, which is a service that solves the so-called traveling salesman problem. So you have one route for one vehicle with a number of stops. It could be more than 100 or up to 120. You might also have some time windows or other restrictions and want to have an optimized sequence for all these waypoints to minimize either the driving time or the driving distance. This is here also brings a significant optimization, but also you have then the estimated arrival time for all your waypoints on your route. When you not only have one vehicle to optimize, but multiple of them, for this I'm gonna hand over to my colleague Jussi, who will tell you how this can work then with our route optimization API.
Thank you, Dieter. So hello everyone, this is Jussi. I'm a product manager for at here for the last mile product, which includes the new product called Virtual Planning API. This is something we are rolling out this year. It's built on top of all the capabilities that Dieter already spoke about, so real-time traffic and truck routing, for example. So the API itself provides a way to create optimized routes for multiple vehicles to multiple destinations with one API call. So it's a high-performance route optimization engine, essentially. So it takes into consideration traffic patterns. So it's traffic aware. So it will calculate the optimized routes based on real-time traffic as well as historic traffic, depending on the time of planning. It also includes the flexible constraints, so you can really make it your own to make it work for your business. So you can specify the different constraints for this fleet and for the orders that you are handling. It also supports truck attributes, so you can specify your vehicle profile. If you have light vehicles and heavy trucks in your fleet, you can specify the profile, and then we consider the speed profile as well as the truck limitations, so truck ban zones, for example. The API supports dynamic replanning. So if you're building a solution around the API, you're utilizing it for in your fleet management solution, for example, then you're able to recalculate the tours. If you're adding another order or you're removing an order from an ongoing tour, the API will then replan the remaining jobs in a way that you specify. So this is how you can also use it for on-demand sort of businesses. And going more into detail, so the constraints for the input. So basically, what you need to specify for the API is your problem definition. So you will let the API know how many vehicles do you have in your fleet, how much they cost, so you can specify cost per kilometer, hour, or fixed cost. You have the vehicle configuration, range, and capacity that you can set. You have the starting point that you can have anywhere in the city. You can also specify if your vehicles have to come back to the starting point, or they can stop at the last, or they can stop the tour at the last stop. And then you specify a vehicle profile, and if it's truck, the truck constraints will be considered. And with the job information, this is basically your waypoints that you need to visit within a certain time window. So you can have multiple time windows. You can specify the capacity that is required from the vehicle and whether it's a delivery or pickup. On the driver side, you can specify a break time, shift times, and customer-defined skills. So skills meaning licenses or training for the driver that is required from the job. So all of this information will be matched into one, and the API will do a number of calculations to find the most cost-efficient sequence between the waypoints, considering all of this information. And next slide, please. And then I will show you a little demo as well, what you can actually do with the API, how you can utilize it with other here enablers. So for that purpose, I will just share my screen. So what you're seeing here is a visualization of the API. So this is a demo that we've built on top of the here enablers. So if we take a look at the API functionality first, so in this case, we have a last mile delivery company in Berlin, where we need to do deliveries around the city. So in this case, we have 60 parcels we need to deliver. And the API is designed for last mile delivery companies first. But if you have a company doing maintenance or private security or any other sort of professional services, the API also works for those use cases. So the underlying problem is the same, where you have locations you need to visit within certain time windows and certain constraints for these jobs. So with the customizability that the API provides, you can really make it work for your product and your company. So what we've done here is we show all the waypoints on the map, on top of the here map. We also display the traffic. So this is just to visualize how it will be considered. And we have the depot here in the middle of the city. So in this scenario, we are starting and ending from the depot. We have 60 parcels, as I mentioned. We have 10 vehicles available in our fleet, and we have 15 parcel capacity per vehicle. So this is an example of the input that you can have for the API. You can specify your time window for all jobs, or you can specify individual or multiple time windows for each job individually. And in this case, I'm just going to say everything has to be delivered within 1 day. So we have a full day time window for all jobs. And when we do the planning, the API will actually consider all of these constraints and crunch together multiple different route options to find the most cost-efficient sequence for your all of your vehicles with one call. So as you can see, we optimize against the cost. So in this case, we actually needed only 4 out of the 10 vehicles. So you can already see how this starts to optimize your operations when you don't have to use all of your fleet if you don't absolutely have to. You can also use this for business planning to see how many vehicles you will need in the future, 1 week from now, for example, and start really estimating and forecasting how many vehicles you will be needing in the future. So in this scenario, the end result was 4 tours. So we see individual tours on this list, and we have all the details for each one of the tours. So we have the distance, the duration of the tour, as well as the cost. And how the cost is structured is we have, as I mentioned, in the presentation. So we have the distance, duration, and fixed cost. You can use either one of these or all of these. So you can specify however you want to measure the cost for your vehicles. In this scenario, we used all. So this is the main function we optimize against. You can also get the statistics for all tours. So in this case, total distance for all tours was 235 kilometers, duration was 12 hours, and total cost is 354 euro. But keeping in mind these are, placeholder values, so doesn't represent an actual tour cost. So on the map, you see also the routes between the waypoints. So this is how you can combine this with other here services. So the API, tour planning API itself will return you optimized sequence of waypoints. So it will tell you which stop you need to visit first to make it the most cost-efficient way to deliver everything. And then when you use the here routing API or truck routing, depending on your vehicle profile, you will then get routes drawn between the waypoints in considering the real-time traffic. If you have a service that is end-to-end service, so you could, if you're utilizing already the here Mobile SDK, this is one option that you can do. You can build driver experience around the here Mobile SDK and push the waypoints to your drivers directly. So on the map, we also see the other tours. This is how you can also visualize all waypoints at once. Same time. And as I mentioned earlier, the business planning scenario, if you would want to, for example, get an idea of how it would affect your operations, if you would put the depot, this is something that you can also do with API, just specify the starting point of your vehicles and start playing around with it to simulate different scenarios and really get an understanding of how that will affect your business. So that's the new tour planning API from here. This is coming available later this year. So that's about it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Jussi. So I'm taking back the screen. Yeah, thanks for the demo. So let's continue. So far, we were talking about the pre-trip phase. Now I would like to talk about what you can do when your vehicles are on the move to monitor and support them. First of all, we have a geofencing service. Geofencing means you can define areas and get a notification either when the vehicle enters or leaves the certain areas. Then we have a service which helps a lot for dispatching and planning vehicles, which is isoline routing, where you can identify areas of reach for certain vehicles. I'll talk about this in a minute. Then we have our matrix routing service, which gives you tables from N to N+1 destinations with driving times and driving distance. We have a new service, which we call ETA Tracking, which I will introduce shortly. And then Jussi already mentioned it, for the driver himself, we have our Mobile SDK, where you can develop turn-by-turn voice guidance, navigation systems, and the fleet connectivity API, where you can send destinations directly to the driver and also receive the calculated ETAs from the driver. Starting with geofencing, as I said, you can define any kind of areas, load them up to the service, and when you then send the position of a vehicle to the service, it's checked against these areas. You either get the information how far you are away when you're outside, or how far away you are from the border when you're inside. And then you can use it to define alerts and trigger any kind of notifications for your customers. An interesting use case for geofencing is, of course, when you have any kind of forbidden or dangerous areas where you define as geofences, where you get alerts as soon as the vehicle gets close or into. but it can also be used for logistics, for notification use cases. You combine it with our isoline routing service and define an area of reach, for example, of 10 minutes around the destination. And as soon as the vehicle enters this area of reach, you send a notification to the loading dock people that they know in 10 minutes latest the vehicle will be there and they can prepare everything. Or even if you have a breakdown service, you do the same with the technical guy who will help the one who's had an alert and give them the information. Your help will be there in 15, 10, 5 minutes, and then you create 5 isochrones and load them as geofences. So a lot of use cases, especially as I said, in combination, for example, with our isoline routing.
Dieter?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's very important for me to highlight the geofencing stuff. So could you please go back to the...
Of course, yep, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to highlight that the way to define a geofencing area here, it gives you the possibility, the capability, as you mentioned, to say the arrival time. And of course, it takes in consideration the track, the size of the track, and the routes that he can take or not. Not like other providers that just give you a simple radius to define, and then of course, it's not the same. It doesn't take in consideration the traffic, the size of the track, and the routes available for this side of track. So that's it. A small note that I want to add. Sorry.
Okay, thanks a lot for your comments. It's good to mention this. This is really a difference. We see it a lot that you just draw a circle around a location. And especially when you are close to a river, this circle doesn't help you when there is no bridge crossing this river. And this is all the things that isoline routing takes into account. And yeah, as already said, we are using real-time or historical traffic, the different vehicle profiles, and also the restrictions on the road network. And there's even a different option for isoline, which go from the start point to what we call reverse isoline, which go to the start point, which especially when you consider traffic, real-time traffic can make a difference if you have to drive into a city center or if you drive out of a city center. And the response of this service is a polygon that represents this reachable area, which you can display on the map, or, as I said, upload as a geofence to our geofencing service. Thank you. Yeah, then we have our large-scale matrix routing service. One use case, or the major use case for large-scale matrix routing, is what UC introduced. It provides the input for a tour optimization solution. We also use matrix routing for our waypoint sequencing as an input and apply the optimization algorithms on top of it. But it can also be used for dispatching. So you have one new destination to go to, and then in one routing request, one matrix routing request, you send the destinations, the locations from all of your potential vehicles that could go there in one request, a 1 to n vehicles matrix, and with one response you get all the distances and driving times from each vehicle, and then can quickly dispatch the one that is closest to a new destination. And again, similar story like routing and isoline, it supports all the modes that we have in our routing, using traffic, using truck, and all the other options. Yeah, then the next one is our ETA Tracking. This is a specific service where you can track vehicles when they're on the road, specially designed for very long distances, where it's not only relevant how far the remaining driving distance is to a destination, it's also relevant for the driving time if the driver already made his rest times on the road. So did they make it their overnight breaks? Did they do their 4 hours break and all the others? And this is automatically detected based on the historical GPS trace from the vehicle. So having the most reliable estimated time of arrival while the vehicle is on the road permanently updated. Yeah, and then Jussi already mentioned it, our here Mobile SDK, which provides truck routing functionality, same as introduced, and as well as turn-by-turn voice guidance for trucks, with all the instructions for the driver and taking into account all the restrictions on the road for trucks, as well as the specific speed profiles, and of course using again real-time traffic. And then also mentioned by Jussi, the fleet connectivity API. With this, you can send new or any destinations directly into the navigation system. So you don't need to call the driver as a dispatcher and tell him where to go. You directly send his new destinations in his navigation systems based on our mobile SDK. He sees them in the inbox, accepts them, calculates the route, and then the estimated time of arrival is sent back to the dispatcher. So another way to always have the latest information about by when vehicles are supposed to arrive. So this was the monitor and support. And then when the vehicle is back, it's all about post-trip analysis. For this, we have our route matching service. We have a lot of map content data that helps you to analyze driver behavior. And of course, you can also use toll cost as a post-trip analyze that you can validate incoming toll receipts or immediately know what are the final applicable toll costs for this historic route. First of all, route matching is the key to really be able to reconstruct or recompute the driven route. The input is a GPS trace, so all the GPS points from the driven route, and the service matches them to the road network. So by this, you can really reconstruct where the vehicle was driving. It also takes into account all the vehicle restrictions. It takes into account the information of the roads, so like turn restrictions, like one-way roads, and then considers the most probable road, assuming that it was legally used. Or if it's not the case, it can also detect illegal maneuvers. So if a driver did a left turn where it's not allowed, or was driving along a one-way road in the wrong direction, also this can be detected from the service. So this is the first hint if the driver was really using in an driving in an optimal way. And then we have our here advanced data sets. There you can use then for this matched road additional map attributes from our database to further analyze driver behavior. First that comes in mind for everyone is of course speed limits. So you're gonna check for the whole road if the driver was overspeeding, but it could be as well being slope information. It could be road geometry. It could be traffic signs. We lately introduced also the detection of stop sign violation. Yeah. So a lot of other road attributes, road information that can go into driver behavior analysis. This is already today used by a lot of insurance companies as well when we talk about so-called pay-as-you-drive insurance licenses. But the same story and at least also applies for transport and logistic, where it's not about calculating the insurance fee for a special driver, but it's about calculating the individual risk, detecting driver behaviors if they need to be improved or not. Yeah, that's my story. Just to summarize, I think we have a lot of really differentiating features. Our high quality automotive grade map, our traffic data, our truck attributes, which are quite unique, and our strong and comprehensive routing capabilities. Our services are deployed in a worldwide Amazon cloud. So we have also global scale and reliability, service level agreements, scalability, that's everything we care for. I already introduced our APIs. They are quite modular. You can also use only single components from our APIs. And just to mention it, we also have a self-hosting option available. So the standard, which is 90% of our customers are using, is using our cloud services. But if there are high data privacy security requirements, you want to run everything behind your own firewall, it's also available to just get the software and run our services in your own data center on your own services. Yeah, then our license models, I think we have a set of quite flexible license models which try to reflect the value that you are creating with using our services and our map content. Strong technical customer support team, as well as through our partners. And yeah, so we have a strong company background. We're very much focusing on improving our location services capabilities. And yeah, we're still a global market leader in the automotive business with connected vehicles, and the vision or the future is highly automated and autonomous driving, where we need much higher map quality, and this also benefits all the other location-based use cases as well. That was my part, and with that, I'll thank you and give back to you, Javi.
Thanks a lot, Dieter and Yussi, for this awesome presentation and demo. Now I'll continue with your permission in Hebrew. I just want to welcome also Cecilia, from here, she is here with us. So thank you for being with us. Cecilia היא המנהלת האזורית, מנהלת מחירות אחראית על האזור שלנו. אז נחזור חזרה לחלק שלנו במצגת. אז כמו שאמרתי קודם, נמצא איתי פה יגאל, מנהל הפיתוח שלנו. אנחנו ניתן סקירה כללית על ה-API'ים, אחרי שראינו מקרים פרטיים יותר של פליט מנג'מנט, אבל אני רוצה להתייחס יותר לכל ה-API'ים שיש ל-Here Maps להציע, שזה מעל ל-30 API'ים, כמובן שלא נוכל לעבור על כולם היום, אבל אנחנו נתייחס לעיקריים ולאלה שהיר חזקים בהם. אז אנחנו מקטלגים אותם מטעמי נוחות לשלוש קטגוריות, כל מה שקשור במפות, הטיילים השונים, כל מה שתלוי מיקום, places, עסקים, מזג האוויר, או geocoding, מיד נרחיב על כל אחד מהם, וכל מה שקשור בכביש, שזה יותר מה שדיטר ויוסי הציגו לנו. כמובן של כל ה-API'ים קיימים גם ב-JavaScript, וגם לטובת פיתוחי ווב למיניהם, וגם ב-Native SDK, לטובת פיתוח אפליקציות Native לאנדרואיד ו-iOS, וכמו שציין דיטר קודם, כל הסרוויסים מפורסמים ב-REST, כך שכל פלטפורמת GIS שמכבדת את עצמה יודעת לצרוך את זה, ואפשר לשלב נתונים ממקורות רבים, בכל קליינט שהוא, אם זה QGIS, ArcMap, או כל כלי אחר. אז כמו שאמרנו, בקטגוריית המפות יש לנו טיילים שונים, יש יכולת לקבל מפה סטטית, רק להראות את האזור וכמובן גם מפה דינמית שאפשר לעשות אליה זום ולזוז בה ימינה שמאלה, פנינג, ומה שמגיע מהשרת זה מה שתבחרו, או צילום לוויין, או מידע וקטורי, או שילוב ביניהם. מה שאני רוצה להתייחס מבין היכולות שנראית לי הכי מעניינת פה זה הוקטור טייל. וקטור טייל זה בעצם שיטה חדשה יחסית שחברת מפבוקס פיתחה, ושפרסמה אותה כאופן סורס, וכמובן בגלל האפקטיביות שלה, מיהרו לאמץ אותה כל הטכנולוגיות האחרות, גם ESRI, גם Here Maps, ובגדול היכולת אומרת שאם בעבר ה-Tile Map Server, השרת שמפרסם את הטיילים, נתן לנו טיילים בדרך כלל בגודל של 256 על 256, שקופים עם המידע הוקטורי כדי לאפשר הצגה וכיבוי שכבות, אז כאן המידע הוקטורי מגיע לקליינט, והוא מרונדר בצד הקליינט. כלומר, ואז זה נותן יכולות נוספות. קודם כל, תעבורת הרשת הרבה יותר קטנה, כי זה רק מידע וקטורי שעובר, אלפא-נומרי. שניים, זה מאפשר יכולות תשאול ותצוגה מתקדמות בצד הקליינט. אני רוצה להראות דוגמה קטנה. כן, אז פה יש לנו סתם מפה של ברלין, שבה הפארקים צבועים, כאמור, בצד הקליינט החלטתי, המידע הגיע וקטורית למפה, ואחרי זה החלטתי בצד הקליינט, בג'אווה-סקריפט, שאני מציג אותם בכחול, או באדום, או בסגול, או בכל דבר אחר. מה שקורה פה, כל הצביעה מתבצעת בצד הקליינט, זה שהלייבלים נצבעים מחדש, זה בגלל שהשכבה של הלייבלים היא מעל, אבל לא הייתה פה בשום אופן פנייה לשרת, והנה אפשר לראות את זה פה, זו השורה בסך הכל בג'אווה-סקריפט שצובעת לי את הפוליגונים, כלומר כל הפוליגונים של השכבה מקבלים את הצבע שהחלטתי עליו. זה רק דוגמה קטנה כדי להראות מה אפשר לעשות עם הוקטור טייל. אז כמובן יש לנו את כל היכולות הבסיסיות של גיאו-קודינג וריברס גיאו-קודינג, שזה להפוך נ"צ לכתובת וכתובת לנ"צ, וכמובן שאפשר להריץ את זה גם בבאץ' פייל על רשימת כתובות גדולה.
על ה-API של לוקיישן, ורציתי לשים דגש על כמה דברים. קודם כל על הוויזר, מזג האוויר, יש לנו יכולת פה כבר ב-API, בשירותים של עיר, לקבל מידע על מזג האוויר נוכחי של המיקום, וגם תחזית לשבוע, ואנחנו לא צריכים, ברור שיש כל מיני שירותים באינטרנט שנותנים את המידע הזאת, אבל כבר בתוך החבילה אנחנו לא צריכים להתחבר ל-API שונים, ולבדוק שזה זמין, לא זמין, זהו, אנחנו כבר במפה, ואנחנו משתמשים באותו API, ואנחנו
לפי מיקום.
לפי מיקום כמובן, ואנחנו יכולים לקבל את המידע שאנחנו צריכים בלי לצאת החוצה. הדבר השני שמאוד מעניין זה Venue Maps, שזה בעצם Indoor Mapping, מיפוי פנים מבנים, ופה יש לנו יכולת לעלות ל-Here Maps את התוכניות של הבניינים, Floor Plans, כן, לבעל של הבניין, יש אפשרות לעלות את התוכנית של הבניין לפי קומות, ופה אנחנו גם רוצים להראות איך זה נראה, אנחנו עכשיו רואים את המסך של הטלפון שלי, רואים את המקום שבכל מקרה מתישהו אנחנו מקווים שאנחנו נחזור לזה, הנדבק שלנו, למרות שזה עדיין לא יודעים מתי זה יקרה, אבל בכל מקרה. אנחנו יכולים להיכנס פה ולראות בעצם מה התוכנית של הבניין. אנחנו רואים לפי הקומות, בצד ימין יש לנו רשימה של הקומות, וכל אחד כמובן יכול לשים אותו יכולת באפליקציות שלו. אנחנו רואים פה לפי קומות, עוברים נגיד לקומה אחת, ורואים את ה-duty free שלנו, את החנויות וזה. על כל חנות אנחנו יכולים לראות את הפרטים של החנות, מתי זה פתוח, מתי זה סגור, וגם כמובן יש ניווט בתוך הבניין. אומנם זה דורש התקנה של החיישנים, אבל כיכולת יש דבר כזה, וגם בעזרת אותו חירמפס אפשר לנווט את המשתמשים איך להגיע מכניסה לבניין למשרד, לחנות מסוים.
אוקיי, אז פה יש לנו עוד שירותים תלויי מיקום מאוד מעניינים. אנחנו מכירים את זה משירותים אחרים, אבל שוב, פה הכל תחת אותה קורת גג. אז יש לנו את מיקום תחנות הדלק, המחירים שלהם, תחנות טעינת חשמל, וגם החלק המעניין יותר שאין לספקים אחרים זה מידע לגבי חניונים וחניות ברחוב, זה כולל גם מחירים שתשלמו על חניה וכו'.
Sorry, Yigal, we don't hear you so well.
Okay.
אבל לעומת פלטפורמות שאנחנו מכירים, יש לנו אפשרות גם לקבל לפי כלי תחבורה.
היא אומרת שעדיין לא שומעים אותנו טוב, שנייה אחת ננסה לשפר את זה. תראה מה. כן, עכשיו יותר טוב? יהודית? אוקיי.
כן, שומעים אותך. יגאל לא שומעים.
יופי. אז פה יש לנו אפשרות לקבל את, כמו שאמרתי, מסלולים ממקום למקום, אבל מה שכן מעניין, שיש גם אפשרות לקבל פרטים על הכבישים. ופה רציתי לדבר על הפליט טלמטיקס, שבעצם יש לנו, יש בהיר מידע על הכבישים, לא רק כיוון, אלא גם האורך של הכביש, הרוחב של הכביש, לאיזה כלי תחבורה מתאים את הכבישים, הגובה של הקשרים, כך שגם היה לנו שאיזשהו לקוח שאל אם המשאית יכול לעבור מתחת איזשהו גשר מסוים, ולא היה לנו עד עכשיו את הנתונים, את המידע הזאת. אז עכשיו בהיר אנחנו כן יכולים לקבל מידע על כל דברים כאלה, כולל גם את הכבישי שבתשלום, אפשר לתכנן מראש כמה יעלה לנו מסלול כזה וכזה, איפה יש לנו תחנות דלק, איפה יש לנו מסעדות לעצור וכל מיני מקומות כאלה בכביש שלנו. כן, LightSense SDK. API מאוד מעניין, שפה חיר מדבר שבעזרת המצלמה של נייד אפשר לזהות את הסכנות על הכביש ולקבל התראות, כל מיני התראות שבעזרת האלגוריתמים ממה שרואים במצלמה אפשר לקבל התראות על כל מיני סכנות, ויש להכיר דוגמה מאוד מעניין באתר שלהם. אפשר להוריד את הסורס של הפרויקט, לפתוח באנדרואיד סטודיו, לקמפל ולראות איך זה עובד, שדרך מצלמה מזהים את הולכי רגל, סכנות על הכביש, הגבלות של המהירות של הכביש, ובעצם לא צריך שום התקנה של חומרה נוספת שאנחנו מכירים. אנחנו יודעים שיש פלטפורמות כאילו כמו מובילאיי שדורשת התקנה נוספת של החומרה. פה מספיק לנו את המצלמה של נייד כדי לקבל את ההתראות בסיסיים של הכביש, שמה שיש לנהג בכביש.
אוקיי, אז אנחנו מגיעים לסיום. אני מקווה שנספיק קצת גם לענות על שאלות. אז בגדול רק רציתי לסכם, לחזור למה כדאי לעבוד דרכנו. אז בעצם השירות של היר זמין באינטרנט ואתם יכולים להשתמש בו בעצמכם, אבל מה שתרוויחו אם תעבדו דרכנו זה הנחות נוספות על שימוש גבוה, גישה ליכולות מסוימות, גם יכולות חדשות וגם יכולות שזמינות רק לעבודה דרך פרטנרים. אנחנו מכירים, כאמור, יש לנו ידע מעמיק בתחום ה-GIS, זה תחום העיסוק היחיד שלנו. תוכלו לקבל תמיכה בעברית ובשעות העבודה שלכם. וישנם עוד מגבלות לעבודה ישירה באינטרנט. אני מבקש מיהודית להגיד לנו שני מילים על שיטת התמחור ואיפה אפשר ליצור איתנו קשר בעניין.
Great, thank you, Avi. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I just wanted to have a quick look at the prices and the way that it works. You can go ahead and sign up online for a freemium account. This is a great way to start building, to start trying out the APIs and testing, start using Here Maps for free. You get up to 250 assets per month. If you're looking at an asset tracking use case, you can then obviously continue online. We recommend that you come through us at this point once you have tried out and tested and you know that you want to move forward. Like Avi said, there's a lot of benefits working through us. You have our added support. We have specialists in GIS that can really help to optimize and to make sure that what you're using is the best for what you need. And you are also limited by your online any online package that you might try to up to 250 assets. You're also going to pay a lot more if you continue to work online through the other packages, if you're working by transactions. And that's it. Please feel free to contact us. You're going to have my email in a minute, or reply to the email that you received the reminder from, and I'm happy to help.
אוקיי, אז תודה רבה לכולם. עניתי ככל שיכולתי על שאלות במהלך הוובינר, אבל שוב, כאמור, אנחנו נחזור לכולם עם השאלות. Dieter, Yussi, and Cecilia, thanks a lot for this awesome webinar. I think it was
Sorry, Avi, Dieter was going to answer one of the questions that were asked in the...
I think the most popular question that came again and again is about the frequency and the update of the data. Who owns, where the data come from in Here Technologies, what the frequency of the update, and also about the routes hazard, how you get that from drivers, or how it works?
Yeah, so the quick answer is we have multiple sources. So update the road network. We have our own fleet with cameras which are driving the major roads. We have a system of detecting changes in the road network automatically from satellite imagery, and we use that to optimize the driving of our vehicles that they go into areas where we see a lot of changes. Because at the end of the day, you cannot take the whole road information from a satellite imagery. You have to be there and have to collect it on the road. But then we also work a lot together with partners who provide us feedback from their experience. We have an extra feedback API where you can directly report map change system. We work, of course, with municipalities and use them as a source with our local mapping teams. And in a lot of countries, we are also sourcing map content from local mapping companies. And for traffic, we use mainly commercial fleets as floating car data, as well as information coming from cellular phones. That's all about matching them to the road network, as well as through the municipalities when it comes about traffic messages and others. So the simple answer is weekly map updates. With real-time traffic, we update the information every minute, and we collect and aggregate as many sources as there are out today.
Okay. Another question is if in Here Maps we can find 3D models of famous building, even there are no indoor mapping, but just the model of the building.
The model, so part, yeah. Yeah, so we have 3D city models where you have models of the whole city, but generalized, and we have what we call 3D landmarks, where you have photorealistic 3D models, but not of every building, just from as landmarks, so the important buildings and in the city.
Okay, great. I'm trying to find some more. Oh, license works at night time. Someone is asking if license SDK works.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. I have to come back on that one.
We'll check that and come.
Yeah. So questions were also about, I thought, bike and scooter routing. We introduced this as new modes. So also for our mobile SDK, you can plan routes for bikes as well as for scooters, especially scooter for delivery services and others, short distances, where we apply a different speed for the scooter, and also real-time traffic has less influence on a scooter, so on a two-wheeler, than it has on a car. So different driving times, and it's also supported with our mobile SDK now.
Yeah, this is also an important point to highlight, that Here Maps, in Here Maps, there is the possibility to turn off the traffic. It came from a scooter company, delivery company, that asked us this capability, and it's not available in other providers. So it's also, it's good that you mentioned it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think we've done for now. תודה רבה לכולם על ההשתתפות, ואנחנו זמינים במייל ככל שידרש. נשמח לענות לשאלות שלכם ולהיות בקשר. תודה רבה לכולם, יום טוב, להתראות.